Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here. We have 9 listings in today's list, including 3 on the same street. And I've got some interesting stuff to share about what happens when deals don't close, which is something that not a lot of people are talking about. It hasn't hit the news, but if you call any real estate office or any legal office, you're going to find that they're definitely dealing with it. So I'll give you a bit of a peek there, and I've got some news about a property that we talked about last week. Now, normally on Milton Daily Homes, we don't talk about price changes, but I did want to share this one with you because I thought it was just a taste of humble pie. And again, wishing nothing bad on the sellers, it was more a commentary. If you remember, this listing here on Centennial Forest, it said unbelievable price low and firm for a buyer who wants a great deal. Then it talked about in the description, save yourself the hassle and write us a full price offer. And I talked about how, especially in this neighborhood where it's mostly seniors, you don't want to use, for lack of a better word, underhanded sales techniques, this whole hurry, this puffery kind of stuff. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in today's world, and especially, I think, doesn't work for seniors, which is who's going to buy this house. So what I thought was interesting is that less than a week after they listed, they price changed. So they were at $725. Now they're down to $699. So if you believe in the karma of the universe, then I suppose that, and I thought $725 was a little bit high. At $699, you could argue this price, although there's not enough sales in this area to really compare. These tend to float at a certain level around detached 2 stories in the new areas, but it's not a perfect correlation. Anyway, it's I think with the 3 bedrooms and the 4 washrooms in this home for the size of it, now they're in a new price range, and we do wish them the best of luck. Okay, so Mockridge, 1,600 square feet. And here's the thing. I always look at homes and I even if the client doesn't say they want a basement apartment, I always look and say, is it possible? And I know there's some models that you can really do it quite easily. What you need for a basement apartment under the current bylaws is you need to have, it can't be more than 700 square feet. You need adequate parking. It can only be urban area. What else? Only detached homes. So if you see a semi with a basement apartment, it's not legal. I can guarantee that, unless they got some special zoning adjustment or something like that. But anyway, you could do a driveway. The way this is set up, you could extend the driveway out on this side, probably a little bit on the other side. The curb cut won't change, but you could probably do 2 cars. I've seen it before. And I know I haven't walked through the house yet. You've got a front dining room, then you go back through the house, and then you've got your family room and kitchen. And what they did here, which I thought was interesting from a separate entrance perspective, your entrance would be through the garage into the basement. Now, if you also look at fire code, building code, you're going to need 2 means of exit. This would just give you 1, right? But even if it's an in-law suite or somewhere, you could actually you could shut this wall down, put a door here, and then you both have access to the laundry. And there's the garage here, then the door down to the basement. So you'd essentially have 4 doors on all sides, which is not ideal. But you wouldn't, I guess, have to put a door here for the laundry if you didn't want to. So there's a loft upstairs that could be converted to a 4th bedroom. It's not that hard to do. People look at stuff and go, oh, that's a big project. Not really. It's just basically framing and drywall and then mudding and taping. It's not particularly difficult or expensive. You might have to put some closet doors. If you enclose a closet there, you just buy an IKEA storage unit there. So that's the backyard. Basement's unfinished, so I think they wouldn't have the 2 means of exit in the basement. But in terms of access through the garage, shared laundry, it fits some of those criteria that you'd look for maybe a 2-family type of dwelling. So there's 3 listings on McDougall in this list, the last 3. I really like 247 the way it looks. I think they're going to struggle at that price given what else is happening with the single car detached. 320 looks like a pretty good deal, but 340, here's the history on this one. So it's a Winter Grove, so it's 18 square feet. That's not a real power first shot. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to show even the escarpment on the back there. You get some great sunsets. You probably see it right here. Sunset's pretty much right there. Lovely stuff. We just sold a place over on Tonelli here. So here's the history on this one. Back in April, which was right at the end of what we call the good old days, they listed this home for $750 and they got $971, which was a huge price back then, especially because if I skip back to this list here, there's nothing wrong with the home. It's not particularly like the kitchen doesn't make you go, ooh my gosh. It's okay, right? So what happened here by the fact that they put it back on the market for $910, remember they sold for a lot more than this, was the buyer must have tried to cancel the deal. They must have said, hey look, I paid $971, now it's not worth that. The appraisal could have come in low, and when the appraisal comes in low, the buyer needs to make up the difference in cash in addition to the down payment on the amount that it's appraised for. So the bank may have said, look, Mr. Buyer, you got to give us $100,000 extra if it didn't appraise. Sometimes buyers will voluntarily write a letter saying, look, I'm not going to close, keep my deposit. And lawyers' offices are dealing with that a lot right now. We just spoke with one of our lawyers, and they had 4 letters on their desk last week talking about that. Now, each situation is different, and I don't want to give you legal advice. I'd always encourage you to speak to a lawyer, but what I do know about the situation is, as a seller, your game changes if the buyer has deeper pockets. If they're a first-time buyer that was putting a $5,000 deposit and they were just barely scraping by, you may not be able to squeeze blood from a stone in that case. You may just not have the ability to sue them for damages, because technically what's really going on, this buyer that bought this home, they made a promise to buy the home for $971, and when they break the promise, that's called breach of contract. And in that case, a lot of people think the seller just gets the deposit. That's not the way it works. The buyer is liable for the difference. And so if they sell this home for $850, the buyer's liable technically because of their broken promise between $850 and $971. In order to get that, they would have to go to court. And that's the tricky part, because the lawyers are the ones that make the money in court. And so you really need to decide. You have certainly a case there, but it's just a matter of how long and how hard you want to pursue it as a seller. Is it easier to just turn around and sell it again? Now, if the buyer can't close, but they still are very interested in buying the home, there's other options you have as a seller. You can ask for another further deposit, non-refundable. There's just a lot of things that can happen, and no 2 situations are the same. So what I find when people are shopping for lawyers, it sometimes happens with agents too. They just go, man, I'm going to get the cheapest person, and they don't think about what would happen when things go south. And you really get to see when the tide goes out who wears pants and who doesn't. And I can tell you for a fact, I know some of the lawyers in Milton that have rolled over on stuff that they should have fought for, and there's other lawyers that would fight tooth and nail, and at the end of the day, that's what I want, and I have to pay them an extra $50 or $100 to get that. There's no doubt in my mind that I would pay that in a heartbeat. So I have lawyers that are not on my list at all, and I've got lawyers that I know and I've seen it firsthand that would go to bat for anybody. And if you want that list, let me know, because I'm not putting it on video. But that's kind of you really need some good advice in a situation like this. As agents, we have a role in the process, but the lawyer's really the main guy. After that sold sign goes up, it's the lawyer's. The lawyer becomes the captain of the ship. Our job is to get that sold sign on the house. So we wish those guys on McDougall the best of luck. I think 9-10 may even be a little bit ambitious in this market, given what else is going on out there. But again, our job is to give it to you straight and give you the point of view that you probably get not from just looking on MLS. So have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow with more Milton Daily Homes.